Hey, Jay Carper here from American Torah again. Proverbs 19:4 says, "Wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend." On the surface, what sometimes called the Peshat level, the meaning here is pretty obvious. Money attracts people. Lots of people will pretend to be your friend or even really want to be your friend in real life if you have money and you can do things for them. It's like the Styx song, "Too much time on my hands." I've got dozens of friends and the fun never ends. That is, as long as I'm buying. But most of those kinds of people are not real friends. They're leeches. They're looking for something that they can get from you and not really looking for anything they can give to you. But this is really the obvious meaning, and it's something that I think we all understand instinctively. But there's another side of this that too often we as Christians want to shy away from. Somehow we've got it in our heads that it's morally superior to be poor than to be rich. But if Abraham had been poor, would he have been able to save Lot from the kings who kidnapped him from Sodom? If the princes of Israel who came out of Egypt had been poor, would they have been able to give so extravagantly to the building of the tabernacle? The ark and the menorah, all that gold, the jewels that went into the high priest's garment, the fabrics and the silver that went into the construction of the tabernacle itself. All of those things were donated, and a very large portion of them were donated by only 12 men. The temple, it could not have been built if it weren't for King Solomon and Hiram, who donated so much material and labor to make it possible. Later, the missionary journeys of Paul and the many times that he met in people's homes, it was wealthy people who supported his ministry, who gave him places that he could hold meetings. Wealth isn't the problem. The problem is with people who want to abuse it, who don't keep it in perspective. Wealth is a very useful tool that you can use for God's purposes. You can use for building the kingdom, for doing good for other people. A poor person sometimes loses a friend simply because he's unable to help when that person needs help. Not that the other person stops being his friend, but that he loses the friend. He dies, or he has to move away, or he loses his job, whatever. Things happen that maybe wealth could have prevented. The key is not to eschew wealth. We need it. It's a tool that God gave us. He created the gold and silver, and Solomon talks a great deal about how important that is for for a prosperous and useful existence. There's so many things in the world that you can't even do without wealth. Now, there is never an excuse to treat a person differently simply because they are either wealthy or poor. You treat people the same. And if you've got money, that's a thing that you need to watch out for. The people who are not your friends are the ones who will treat you differently simply because of what you have. Keep wealth in perspective. It's a tool to be used for the good of people, for God's kingdom, for your family, even for yourself. Don't let it lead you to treat people differently. People who have money, people who don't, the people who are your friends. Remember who's your friend, and use the resources that God has given you for the benefit of His kingdom and for other people. This is Jay Carper from American Torah. Be blessed.